I think Senate Republican leaders understand that they are fucked. If they can't reverse ship on these tariffs, and Donald Trump doesn't figure out some way to pause free and fair elections before the primaries, they're fucked. I just posted about this. Rand Paul said it himself. The last 2 times that presidents have tried a major across-the-board tariff like this, they lost half their Senate seats in the next election. Donald Trump has essentially fucked over his party in the legislative branch. I think that was a calculated risk on the part of Donald Trump. I think it's a warning sign that we need to be heeding, because I don't think he's concerned on whether or not it's going to hurt their odds come the primaries, because I don't think he's planning on allowing us to have a primary election in 2026.
Let's talk tariffs. A tariff is a tax that a country puts on goods or services coming from another country. Tariffs have been a popular part of the Trump campaign, where he has promised to put 200% tariffs on all products coming from China. He also said this week that on day one, he's going to put 25% tariffs on anything coming from Mexico or Canada. It's important to know that tariffs do not impact the actual provider of the goods. It's actually a cost passed along to the consumer. In the past, the United States has used tariffs on specific types of products, for example, wristwatches, to encourage consumers to purchase within the United States, because the imported products are going to be more expensive. Trump supporters think that this is going to decrease the cost of goods in the United States, when it's actually going to do the opposite. It's going to increase costs of goods because the consumers are going to be eating up the tariff costs. And for those who would argue that it encourages people to buy US goods, the fact of the matter is it's a global market, and not everything is made in the United States, nor is food. So don't be surprised if these tariffs are carried out. The cost of food and consumables, along with other products like electronics, go up for consumers in the United States. In fact, Walmart has warned of this happening, and they will increase prices and pass those on to the consumers.
Prices are going up because of tariffs. This isn't CNN. This isn't some liberal think tank. It's Walmart, the most American corporation imaginable, telling you directly, you're paying for this. And somehow, that's still not enough evidence for some people. Import costs up means retail prices up. That's not politics. That's math.
Donald Trump isn't even president yet, and he's already embarrassing himself big time. Trump's tariff threats have completely backfired in humiliating fashion, as the former president did not expect Mexico and Canada to both hit back with their own tariff plans. Trump is embarrassing the US on the world stage as he attempts to ruin relations with our 2 most important North American allies by provoking an unnecessary and dangerous trade war, which economists predict will likely lead us towards a recession next year. Even big banks and oil companies are walking away from Trump on this issue, since they too recognize that Trump's extremely radical economic agenda will likely decimate the price of goods in both Mexico, Canada, and the US. It's also an extremely embarrassing time to be an American, as Trump suggested Mexico would close their borders as part of Trump's orders, to which the president of Mexico completely exposed Trump and said this is not true. Mexico will not be closing their borders just because Trump said so. Trump isn't even president yet, and he's already trying to destroy our economy. His plans are set to raise prices, not lower them. Hopefully Republicans realize that they were completely tricked by Trump into thinking that he was actually going to help our economy.
This is what happens when you confuse threats with strategy. Big announcement. Tariffs on Mexico and Canada. Mexico and Canada. Cool. Right back at you. Then, Mexico will close their borders because we said so. Mexico's president on live TV. No, we never agreed to that. Publicly corrected by another country before even taking office. You can't just declare things and make them true. That's not how international relations work. That's not how anything works.
Yeah, I just got back from the hairdresser, so my hair is straight now. Anyway, so my MAGA mom. Let me just tell you a couple of things. I know a lot of people have said that their family is MAGA and they cut them off and all of this stuff. And I just believe my mom is accidentally in a cult. She is 77. She just listens to Fox News and believes everything that they say because their tagline is fair and balanced. I know. She believes Fox News because they say they're fair and balanced. And she believes she's getting both sides. Because oftentimes they'll have a liberal plant on and whatever, and she thinks she's hearing both sides and making her own rational choice to believe that Trump is a god. But I have to tell you this story. So anyway, I did tell her about the tariffs, and the way I couch it with my mom is basically like, listen, Mom, I'm going to show you something, and you just need to know, I'm just letting you know so you can let everybody else in the family know, excuse me, to go buy what they need to buy now if they want to buy any kind of household appliances or anything like that, because it's about to get really expensive. The thing of it is that she believes that Trump can do no wrong, and Trump has some kind of master plan that in the end, this is very good for us, okay? But this is really funny. So she was just over last night for dinner, and she was telling me, she's like, you've got to hear this. Listen to this. So she's on Medicare, right? And this is a true story. I know this is going to sound like I'm making this up. This is an absolute true story that just happened last night. So she's on Medicare, and apparently with Medicare, you have to buy some kind of supplemental plans. Last year, her supplemental plan, I forget, it's called Silver something, I think, for prescriptions. Last year, it was $13 a month. And, you know, because she's flush with cash, she had to tell me that she paid it all at once last year. So anyway, cost $13 a month. And she has a prescription for an inhaler that she doesn't need to use that often. And last year, when she went to pick up her inhaler, it was 40 cents copay. She's like, I don't know. This has to be something left over from the Biden administration. But when I just got my new monthly payment for my plan, it went up to $50 a month. And that's the cheapest supplemental plan I can get. And then I went and picked up my prescription, and the copay on my prescription was $9 this time, not 40 cents. And she's like, you know, it's fine for me because I can afford it. I can swing that kind of change, but there are a lot of people out there who can't. And I was like, okay, so what are you going to do about it? She's like, well, Trump can't know about this. I'm going to tell him. I'm going to write him a letter, and I'm going to CC that guy who's in charge of Medicare now. And I'm like, you mean RFK? She's like, no, it's not him. He's doing other stuff. I'm like, no, honey. Well, Mom, it's RFK. And she's like, okay. Well, they can't know. They mustn't be aware. And here's the thing I like about Trump is you can tell he listens. When people are talking, he leans forward. He listens. So I'm going to write him a letter, and I'm going to let him know because I have the receipts. And she's like, you know how they say that, having the receipts? I'm like, yes, I do know how they say that. She's like, you have the receipts from your tariff bill. You should send those to Trump.
This story broke me. Her Medicare plan, $13 to $50 a month. Her prescription, 40 cents to $9. And her conclusion, they must not know about this. I'll write a letter. Ma'am, they know. This was the policy. But she can't process that because admitting the person you supported hurt you. That's harder than just paying more. So instead, she blames the system, the advisors, anyone but the guy at the top. That letter? It's going in a pile. Nothing changes, but she'll vote the same way again because being wrong, that costs more than $37 a month.
And I said, you know what, Mom? That's exactly what I'm going to do.
MAGA no like tariffs. Tariffs make price go up. MAGA no like trade war. Biggest trade war with China. MAGA no like. Why? China buy no more beef from red states. Red states have too much beef. Oversupply of beef. Must sell lower price. MAGA no like. They pretend they're okay with it because they'll put up with anything that Mr. Dump does. But they no like. China no buy chicken, poultry. Simple economics, supply and demand. Now we will have lots of beef and lots of poultry. That means price go down. Good for us, bad for farmers. MAGA no like tariffs.
MAGA no like trade war. MAGA no like how China fighting back with US. Did you know that like 90% of what everybody buys for Christmas toys, games from around the world, do you know where they mostly come from? Where they're mainly manufactured? China. MAGA no like that. This Christmas, toys. Very expensive. In preparation, companies slow down production. Shelves will be empty. No Christmas for MAGA. And whatever does get shipped here from China, the tariff, that's just a fancy name for a tax. MAGA no like tax. MAGA no have money, MAGA poor. Prices going up. MAGA quiet lately, MAGA regret. But MAGA won't admit. MAGA just quiet. Marches across the country? Good. MAGA no like protest marches. MAGA likes to attack Capitol. MAGA likes insurrection, but they call it a gathering, a peaceful one. MAGA no like protests going on in all the cities. MAGA no like hands off. MAGA learning the hard way. Trump learning the hard way. Over soon.
90% of Christmas toys come from China. Let that sink in. Tariffs on Chinese goods means tariffs on Christmas. Little Timmy's getting 1 toy instead of 5 because ideology got expensive. And here's what I notice. MAGA quiet lately. When things go well, rallies, flags, truck parades, when groceries cost more, silence. Subject change. What about the border? They won't admit the mistake. They'll just stop talking about it.
I think Senate Republican leaders understand that they are fucked. If they can't reverse ship on these tariffs, and Donald Trump doesn't figure out some way to pause free and fair elections before the primaries, they're fucked. I just posted about this. Rand Paul said it himself. The last 2 times that presidents have tried a major across-the-board tariff like this, they lost half their Senate seats in the next election. Donald Trump has essentially fucked over his party in the legislative branch. I think that was a calculated risk on the part of Donald Trump. I think it's a warning sign that we need to be heeding, because I don't think he's concerned on whether or not it's going to hurt their odds come the primaries, because I don't think he's planning on allowing us to have a primary election in 2026. Everyone else is concerned about whether or not he's going to run again in 2028. He's not concerned if he's running again in 2028, because if he had it his way, there wouldn't be a need for elections. But I also think he's not smart enough to understand exactly what he's done to his agenda and his party with these tariffs if he doesn't get his way and we are able to have elections in 2026.
Rand Paul admitted something important. Last 2 times massive tariffs like this happened, the party in power lost half their Senate seats next election. Half. So either there's zero concern about political consequences, or there's a belief those consequences won't happen. Either way, congressional Republicans are trapped. Support the tariffs, own the economic damage, oppose them, get primaried. They built this machine. Now it's grinding them up too.
The Republicans' $7 trillion tax cut bill just advanced through the House. That means you might be thinking you're in line for a tax cut, but when you take that and tariffs into account, let's take a look at the actual change projected in your family's income. This is the projected change in tax burden by income group in the United States once both tariffs and the tax cuts are in place. So basically, everyone in the bottom 95% of the income distribution is actually going to see their taxes go up because the tariffs outweigh the tax cuts. This can be anywhere from $790 a year for the poorest 20% of Americans to maxing out at $1,790 for the 60 to 80% wealthiest Americans. And so the only groups that will actually see a tax cut with the combination of these policies are the top 5%, with the richest 1% of Americans, those making more than $914,900 a year, getting an annual tax cut of $36,320. So this is why when economists and policymakers say tariffs are regressive, they hit the poorest Americans the hardest because they are taxes on everyday items that people are consuming. So by passing both the tax cut and if they end up leaving these 10% across the board tariffs in place, it is essentially a way to transfer wealth by taxing the lowest 95% of Americans more and transferring that money to the richest 5% of Americans. So the next time someone tells you that the Republican Party is for the working class and the Democrats are for the rich and the elite, just send them this so they know who's really benefiting from Trump's taxes and tariffs.
Here's the math. Simple. Bottom 95% of Americans, taxes go up. Tariffs cancel out any cuts. We're talking $790 to $1,790 more per year. Top 1%, $36,000 in tax cuts per year. So the working class guy who voted for lower taxes, he's paying more. So billionaires pay less. That's not spin. That's published data. From Economists, you're funding tax cuts for people who wouldn't let you use their bathroom, and you're thanking them.
It's really not funny to see the amount of Trump supporters who are coming out making viral videos about how they're betrayed by Donald Trump, their stocks are going down, prices are going up, but they still don't regret voting for Trump over Kamala Harris. Like, Kamala Harris told all of us that if Donald Trump wins...
All right, I hate asking for help. I'm not asking for any handouts, but I'm a small business owner that is directly being affected by the 104% tariff that has been put on China.
Ooh, let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin. The one demographic in this country I feel no sympathy for if they suffer is the white male conservative. Because you don't care about me. You don't care about the greater good. And you haven't for a very long time. White people in specific have been voting majority conservative since 1964 when Lyndon B. Johnson was elected as president. You tell me you're a business owner, which leads me to believe that you're a little bit smart. You didn't see what Trump did in his first term? He was terrible for business. He was terrible for the middle class in his first term. He was terrible for the little guy. And what's annoying about this is you will learn nothing because people tried to check you on that video and you learned nothing.
I love this for you. I love this. Nice. I love this for you. I love to see you fail. I love to see your family be affected and hurt because you voted for Trump. Yeah, I voted for Trump. Absolutely.
If Donald Trump somehow waved a magic wand and ran for re-election in 2028, you would vote for him out of a cardboard box on the side of the street that he put you in. And therein lies the issue. You'd rather starve than hold hands with the oppressed.
No sympathy for this guy. Here's why. He's a business owner. Supposedly smart. He saw what happened in the first term. Trade wars, chaos, economic instability. Voted the same way again. Now he wants help? Where was his sympathy when others needed help? When working families needed safety nets? Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Horse better stole unless your boots are falling apart. Then it's save American business. The rules only apply to everyone else.
How's it, guys? So, I try not to get into politics too much these days, but this tariff thing is a big problem. You understand when you put a tariff on goods, right? A 40% tariff, that is a tax on us, yeah? On the American people. If I'm importing something from China and I gotta pay an extra 40%, I'm not just gonna eat that loss as a seller. I'm going to tack on 40% and you're going to have to pay if you want to buy from me. So all the extra revenue that Trump and them are talking about coming into the country is all going to come from us. And it's only like a 1.3% increase. We're going to make like 400 billion off it or something like that. We're trillions of dollars in debt. But what it is going to do is hamper the economy. The other thing too is that all those numbers that they're citing is all wrong. It's like way off. Talking about like South Korea has like a 90% tariff on us. They have like a 0.9% tariff on us. What they're calculating, what they're talking about is the trade deficits. Trade deficits are not a bad thing, by the way. You understand? You have a trade deficit with Big Save or Safeway or your local grocery store because you are buying goods from them. They don't buy nothing from you. So should you like boycott those guys? No, because you're getting goods from them. It's a reciprocal exchange. It doesn't make sense. All the logic doesn't make sense. Just because we have a trade deficit with some other country, it doesn't mean that they're screwing us. It means that we buy their stuff. Stuff that's going to be a lot more expensive pretty soon, by the way. This is very bad for the economy. It will probably send us into recession. It's definitely going to make inflation go up. And for what purpose? We're breaking all sorts of trade agreements. We're I mean, I think it's unconstitutional. I don't think that the president has the power to do this. Yeah, I don't know. This whole thing is just a mess, and it's really embarrassing. And Congress, you guys gotta stop this. Like, Republicans in Congress, because you guys get the majority, you need to grow a spine, take back power for Congress away from the executive branch, and stop this before we just destroy the world economy and completely isolate America and let China and Russia and all our enemies step in and fill that gap, because we're just pushing our closest allies into the territory of the enemy, because why would they want to be with us if we can penalize them for no reason? It doesn't make sense. The whole thing really pissed me off, and you should be pissed off too, because the only person it's going to hurt is you and me. Yep.
Free economics lesson right here. 1. Tariffs are taxes on Americans. Seller pays more to import, you pay more at checkout. 2. Trade deficits aren't bad. You have a deficit with your grocery store. You buy from them, they don't buy from you. That's called shopping. 3. The numbers cited, wrong. South Korea's tariff isn't 90%, it's 0.9%. They confuse deficits with tariffs. Different things entirely. 4. Probably unconstitutional. President can't start trade wars alone without Congress. But Congress is too scared to act. So we all just watch.
Huge global news, specifically coming out of the U.S. A federal judge has struck down Donald Trump's tariffs. Of course, this affects everyone in the world. They were able to be struck down because he was in violation of the IEEPA. So most of the tariffs are gone. So Donald Trump will now have to lift these tariffs. This just further goes to show this administration has no idea what they're doing. This is a major, major loss for the Trump administration. They keep getting handed losses, which, as we know from experience, Trump does not handle well. Being known as a loser affects his ego quite a bit.
A federal judge struck it down. The tariffs violated the IEEPA, illegal use of emergency economic powers, all that chaos, price increases, crushed businesses, for nothing. Because nobody checked if it was legal first. Courts don't care about tweets or rallies. They care about law, and the law said no. What did we learn? Tariffs hurt the people who cheer for them. Ideology doesn't pay bills, and some people will never admit they were wrong. They'll blame judges, media, the system, anyone but themselves. The business owner losing everything, same vote next time. The mom whose costs tripled still believes in the master plan. That's the saddest part. It's not getting fooled. Everyone gets fooled. It's having the evidence right there, in your bank account, on your bills, and still not seeing it, because being wrong, that costs more than money. Drop a comment. Will they ever learn? Subscribe if this made you think. Peace.